No way, Jose.
The following footage proves beyond any doubt that the tanks intentionally set the house on fire. It proves that the Branch Davidians were murdered. You can see that this tank has a gas jet on the front that shoots fire. You can also see the fire quite plainly. The tank goes into the house twice, and each time as it backs out, the fire at the gas jet is plainly visible.
We must all do more to recognize and look for the early warning signals that deeply troubled young people send.
I had the mute on there. Good morning. Welcome to the No Way Jose podcast. This is the Morning Dump, and I am today's host, Jose Aguilison. Sorry we left you guys a little bit high and dry yesterday, but hey, we take days off occasionally. Felt like taking yesterday off. It was a little bit of a slow news day anyways, and yeah, so here I am. We're back. It's Sunday. It is February 9th. I'll be back tomorrow as well, just to let you guys know what's going on. I mean, Austin may join us in one of these. I'm not sure when he's able to, but I will be back almost certainly tomorrow. And I am here today. So what's up, Doctori? What is up? Think, change, repeat. Saying good morning, good morning. Hey, say what now? Good morning, doctor. How you doing? Good morning, everyone. Glad to have you guys here with us. It's always fun hanging out with you fellas here for another morning dump. You guys seem to dig these. We got a good day for you guys today. We got news about Ron Paul and Doge and the Fed, and we're going to continue our coverage on the Ellen Greenberg. Digging into it because we kind of just what was the last one or the one before that? Maybe I think it was a couple ago. We went into the specifics for those who hadn't looked into it because I hadn't looked into too much. I'd heard tell of the Ellen Greenberg story. But we dug into it recently, so we got the what happened now, and we didn't really seem to, in that story that we dug into, get too much on the how or the why. Like, how did this even get covered up? Why did this get covered up? That's more what we're going to get into today, kind of into the characters, the fiance, then also Josh Shapiro, who was the prospective Kamala's VP for a while. In the way these people are tied into, and I don't know, it's kind of I feel like it's an interesting case study on the corruption of government and how it can work out. But yeah, we got other stuff. We also got H3H3. His broad was running off the mouth about atrocity propaganda for October 7th. So we're going to debunk some of that a little bit. But we have other stuff to go through today. We have quite a bit of stuff to get through. But I do want to take a moment to pay the bills and remind you guys that today's episode is brought to you by Nadeau Shave Co. If you try that razor burn, the irritation, the ingrown hair is caused by those deep, penetrating multi-blade cartridges, then this is the way to go. You can return the original shave. You can shave just like your grandpa used to, whether you're edging your whole face or edging up or you're shaving your whole face or edging up your beard. The single blades provide a barber-grade shave for a fraction of the price. The standard issue includes the traditional safety razor pictured here and a box of 100 stainless steel razor blades. That puts you out about $75. The estimate there is supposed to last you a year. Let's be real, it really depends on how frequently you shave. I mean, me, I barely put a dent in it. I don't think I've even gone a quarter into it, and I've had it for over a year. So it really depends on your frequency of shaving. But if you are someone who does shave regularly, and I mean daily, then this isn't going to cut it for you. You're going to need the quarter shave club, but pretty much that's the only situation for the most part is damn near daily or maybe even every other day. That's probably going to be the only situation you need this quarter shave club. That standard issue should do it for you otherwise. But if you do need it, the quarter shave club puts you about 25 cents per replacement blade. He's also got shave lathers, 3-in-1 body hair and face soaps too. If you want to get all lathered up before you shave. This is a COVID mandate refusing company. This company was born out of refusing the COVID mandate. So to recap, this is a better product. This is better for your skin. It's a better shave. It is a cheaper product. It's just plain and simple is cheaper. If you run the numbers between those multi-blades and this, and especially over the course of a year, you're saving way more here. And also, and then also it's from a company that doesn't hate you, supports your values, and on top of all of that, you can get 10% off if you use Jose at checkout. But with that, guys, let's go ahead and get back into the show. Let's get into some content. We have the leading story. You guys saw this thing. By the way, I didn't even ask. Do I sound good? I would assume at this point, since no one said anything, I sound good. But let me know. Sound off the chat if I give me an audio check. Make sure I'm not like on the computer mic or something, doing something stupid. But yeah, I mean that way. While I set up this next one, here is the leading story. A little bit clickbaity, sort of, because I mean there's not too much to dig into this, but. I guess this is a breaking. Elon supports the idea of Ron Paul leading a Federal Reserve audit team. Now, is that going to happen? I don't know. I mean, a few weeks ago, before the Trump administration came in, if I said, do I think it's going to happen, I'd say no. I mean, do I still think it's going to happen? I guess I still lean towards no, but it's not as strong as a no as it used to be. I will be completely frank. There has been even with stuff I disagree with, so far as the stuff Trump campaigned on, or people kind of already knew he was about, he's kind of from the jump been pretty much making this stuff happen. So now is he going to go this far? I don't know. I mean, it's still doubtful, but I have been pleasantly surprised in some regards. Also, not pleasantly, the opposite of pleasantly surprised. I guess not even disappointed would be the way to put it, because it was like kind of to be expected. I mean, which we'll get into that in a bit. Some of the other negatives that come along with this presidency and what will go along with that. Okay, cool. Everyone's saying I sound good. Thank you, everybody. Oh, hey, Nancy. Good to see you here. It's your first time checking in. But all right, yeah. So that is the word right now that Elon. I guess I don't know who asked him, but I'm assuming there's probably some reporter. But it is fun to just throw it out there that this is an idea. This is a thing that's out there. So. But all right, with the pros and the cons, here we have Marco Rubio. This is This was written by Kyle Anzalone and the Libertarian Institute. It was I found it on antiwar.com too. So antiwar.com sources from there. But I just kind of be wary. There is, with some things getting better, I think some things are likely to get worse, and it looks like it's been pretty clear the way. I don't know, posturing by entities that out there, even just the simple fact of picking Rubio as your State Department guy, and then other things along those lines, just kind of some of the things have already been said about, like, say, the southern border in regards to designating cartel as terrorists and stuff along those lines. Kind of what I'm driving as, it looks like priorities have shifted with this new administration. It looks like we might be getting a return to the old Operation Condor days, where we're just butt fucking the South America and Central America, and with all sorts of Fed operations. Now, I don't know how this is going to play out, but it looks like this is the posturing at first. So this is Kyle Anzalone wrote a piece that says Rubio pushes hawkish agenda on first trip as Secretary of State. I'm not going to read all of this, but he went to Latin America, went to Venezuela, Panama, and Haiti. He said at one point he said something about announcing the seizure of a plane from Maduro, which seems kind of like a petty move. I guess they're saying that his plane. I guess sounds like the way it's written, they're implying one of his personal planes. Said they've been used to violate sanctions, which, I mean, I don't know. You'd think you just let that one slide if it's like literally one of the leader of the country, but whatever. There's also, there's sanctions there's on Venezuela. You go through this article. I'd recommend you guys read it. There's a lot that he went through on Rubio's tour of South America and Central America, where he kind of, endorsed in a lot of places what it was already a status quo, and in other situations kind of ramped up. And by status quo, I mean status quo like in doing glowy operations or regime change or whatever in South America, Central America. So the status quo that was that, it seems like he followed the line, and it seems like there were some moves to kind of imply further going down that route. Because while I said a shifting of priorities, I mean, this is, by just what I just said there, obviously implies that they were doing this in the Biden administration, and they were. It's just, I think it seems like this is going to be the priority going forward. At the very least, Mexico, maybe. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it ends at just at the whole fentanyl U.S. border. Because, for those who aren't aware, with the whole dick swinging back and forth, we may have covered in the show a while back with Mexico and us. There was essentially threats of sanctions and the such. And, essentially Mexico real quick their sphincter tightened up real quick, tail came between their legs, and they sent their own people to help us with whatever we wanted. So essentially they kind of fell in line to everything we asked for. So now I guess they're helping, secure the border. So, maybe it just ends there. And maybe this whole Rubio thing is just bluster. Keep in mind, Trump did make multiple statements about when he was working with Bolton, about how Bolton was like the bulldog that everyone was scared of. Maybe he's doing the same thing with Rubio. I don't like to get caught up in this cope mentality of maybe this is 5 DHS, but I don't know. He has said before. That's I guess kind of the best we can hope for if you have a Rubio, is that he is just some sort of negotiating thing where you're like, hey, look at this retard. He's going to try to kill you all. You might want to work with me instead. I don't know. I don't get that impression. It seems real to me. So we will find out as time goes on. I'm just saying, keep your eyes open on Central America and South America when it comes to American moves going forward. At least that's the impression I have. You guys can let me know if you agree in the chat. So everyone, Shovelhead, good morning. When's this mass deportation going to take place? Yeah, they've, to be fair to them, I will give them credit when it comes to that sort of stuff. A lot of people have said stuff about mass deportation, this and that. My understanding is it really is just focused on criminals. So, there you go. Dr. says after they complete the targeted ones. I don't know. I really don't think they'll ever, I might be wrong. Maybe, but I really, really don't think they're ever going to get past to where it's just targeted at criminals or specific entities. So, maybe they'll get more specific in, I don't know. How do I put this? Maybe they'll get more petty crimes as time goes on, if that makes sense. So it'll be we're no longer looking for the hardened criminals. Now we're just looking for criminals at all. So you're now you're deporting someone because they got a fucking, speeding ticket. I don't know. Maybe that'd be the point where it starts getting a little unpopular. Because I don't know. I really still think that it would not be popular. I live in an area where there are probably so many goddamn illegals that I cannot imagine if they started rolling out in mass and shipping these people out. And also just, on top of that, the wreck that it would, the havoc would wreak on the economy and just locally here, how many people they'd fuck over if that happened. And I know a lot of people go, "Oh, well, you don't want to pay you don't want to pay Americans real money." And well, kinda. I don't know. That is, yeah. I don't know. Cheaper goods matter. I don't know what to tell you. There is a populace of people that are willing to do a job that most Americans aren't willing to do at a cheaper price, and now we get cheaper products as a result. How am I to complain? I'm not going to go fucking pick maters. And I don't know a whole lot of white dudes that really are going to either. With that said, I'm very much a Ron Pauly in the sense of get rid of stop fucking around in the Middle East or just overseas in general or anywhere really, so far as foreign policy, and you cut off all welfare, and this includes to our people and their people. Hell, if you cut off the welfare to our people, then they might actually be willing to take some of those jobs. And on the flip side, there's nothing to complain about, really, in my opinion, at that point, once you've cleaned up that. But I don't know. All right, let's get into the next story. Once again, looking at some cons here. We have $7.4 billion in weapons in Israel that I guess have been approved. So this is, for all this Doge stuff and, all this cool, we're cutting this, we're cutting that. And you're like, okay, well, we're spending billions and billions and billions to Israel still. Now, I haven't run the pure numbers. I don't know if this is are we cutting even? Are we still winning overall, money-wise, insofar as coming back to us? Obviously, this money goes to Israel, and Israel does unsavory things with it, so I'm not a fan of it. But you see, even from a raw numbers perspective, of the amount that this government is coming in and slashed. Is it offset by Israel? I'm not sure, but it does seem like, for all the cutting, there is plenty of other places where they are just fucking dumping. So I don't know. It may just be a shifting of priorities. It's hard to say overall if it's better yet in that sense. We'll see. I wish they wouldn't do shit like this, because I can only imagine how the economy would bounce back right now if we weren't doing shit like this and it was all the other stuff he's doing, like the foreign aid pauses and stuff. If it was a foreign aid pause, period, no asterisk, but but Israel and Egypt and maybe Ukraine in under specific instances or whatever. And like I don't know. I would really be interested to see where this country could be in a few years if they actually really just did fucking like Ron Swanson the fuck out of the government. I mean, obviously, there's still I doubt they would ever touch things like the military-industrial complex, but I mean, there's still tons to be cut, and if you were just at least settle down on this, I don't know. It just unfortunate for to be so close yet so far away. Like all the foreign aid cutting off, and then but there's still this except Israel. I mean, how we keep doing this is kind of beyond. Those were sales, not. Oh, were they though? Okay. So Dr. Roy is saying they were sales, not spending. No, I hear that though. Okay, I'd have to look into the specifics on that because I am curious with sales because I hear all the time where they go, oh, sales, but then it's a loan and then it has no fucking. And then it also has like no time limit and then it has like no interest on it, and so essentially it's de facto you're giving them money. I don't know which ones this is, but either way, I mean, yeah, not good. So guys, you're right. I guess, guys, it's a sale, not a handout. There's no need for congressional approval. Completely legal. Let me see. I don't know. I doubt that. Anytime they sale, it's always bullshit. All right. Well, I don't know. Maybe I'm a little wrong here. Maybe it was just a sale. Even still, I find you to be a little bit like you're complicit in the sale of it. So, I don't know. I mean, I feel like if I looked into it, you would probably see that's not really a sale. But I don't know. If any of you guys have links or whatever, we can dig into that further. But I know so often this shit is like, actually, you know what? I'm going to look at anti-war right now. I bet you they have it. I just didn't want to bring up the whole thing for it. Here we go. State Department plans $7. So here we go. Fucking instead of saying I don't fucking know, let's look at it. Let's read the article. So let's. State Department has formally notified Congress of its plans for a massive arms sale to Israel worth over $7 billion. So sale, okay, including thousands of missiles and bombs. The Associated Press reported on Friday. This follows Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's visit to D.C. and Trump's announcement that U.S. will own Gaza. Per the State Department, Congress was notified of two separate sales. One is worth $6.5 billion. The first sale includes 2,800 500-pound bombs and 166 small diameter bombs, along with thousands of guidance kits, fuses, bombs, components, and other equipment. Deliveries of these bombs will begin later this year. The other package, worth $660 million, well, you should have added another 6 in there just to make it right on the nose, includes 3,000 Hellfire missiles and related equipment. Deliveries for the second arms sale are expected to take place by 2028. Let me see the sale. I'm trying to see if there's anything specific because I know so often you see they say sale and then it's like, okay, but the sale is a loan and then there's like no time limit and then it's something stupid like, oh, but also no interest. So it's like you're just giving it to them. So I don't know if there's any specifics on that. All right, well, maybe you were right. Maybe it is just a sale. I'm still not a fan of it, but at least it's less taking our money. The bulldozers. All right. Well, maybe you are correct. All right. Yeah, I think maybe. I mean, they didn't get into that specifically, but I don't know. Well, all right. Then I stand corrected. I go. So there you go. He says I don't know how the money works. To be fair, yeah, me either specifically. I just assume it's not like a. Why? For one, why the fuck is Congress involved if it is like, hello, sir, I have $300 billion and I would like to buy $300 billion of X thing. Because like these are people who these are companies. Like this isn't literally the government selling them this. Like a lot of people don't realize that. I mean, these are like military contractors who make these. So these are private entities. I guess maybe these are ones that were probably already allotted for the government or something. So maybe that's why it has to be. I don't know. I guess I don't know the specifics, but either way, I don't know. I guess the idea that Congress is involved does make me think there's probably somehow we're getting fucked money wise. I really don't see a way that otherwise, you know. But whatever. Let's move on from this one. All right. Well, I guess I'm sorry about that, guys. It is a little bit up in the air. But either way, even if we do say it is a sale, I'm still not cool with it. And here's one of many reasons why. Here's a report from Dave DeCamp, and it kind of goes into how the war was being waged over there. So the U.S. coordinated with Israel and strikes in Gaza, knowing hundreds of civilians could be killed. So this is a report from 972 magazine, but Dave DeCamp's reporting on it. So the U.S. coordinated closely with Israel on massive strikes in Gaza on residential buildings, knowing that more than 100 civilians could be killed, even though Israel didn't have precise intelligence about the location of a Hamas commander it was claiming to target. The Israeli outlet 972 magazine reported on Thursday. The report also detailed how Israel weaponized deadly carbon monoxide gas released by conventional bombs underground to kill Hamas commanders hiding in the tunnels, and in some cases, the gas killed Israeli hostages. The report, which cited 15 Israeli military intelligence and Shin Bet officers, said Israel frequently bombarded residential areas in Gaza when it lacked intelligence on the exact location of Hamas commanders hiding underground. So they were just spraying and praying, basically, with bombs. In these strikes, the Israeli military authorized the killing of triple-digit numbers of Palestinian civilians, which it framed as collateral damage. The report said the Israeli military maintained close real-time coordination, this is in quotes, with U.S. officials on these bombings regarding the number of civilian casualties, meaning the U.S. was a direct accomplice in the slaughter. So they are informing us as they're going on, like, hey, this is, letting us know about the amount of possible civilian casualties before and after, and, the supposed, hostiles that will be taken out in this. And the Israeli military developed a process known as tiling, where they would drop massive 2,000-pound bunker-busting bombs on civilian areas above tunnels where they believed a Hamas commander might be located, but weren't sure of the exact area. The report said this partial intelligence picture led to instances in which the army dropped bunker buster bombs that killed scores of Palestinians while the target underground survived. So what we're talking about is they've essentially been authorized to carry out attacks by their higher-ups that consist of triple-digit civilian deaths as long as there is a chance of basically at least one commander of some sort of commander level individual. So I guess to be fair, it's not like a run-of-the-mill, ground troop Hamas, but even still, this is for a might be one guy who runs a I don't know how they break up their units. What do I mean, running a handful of guys, or I don't know, maybe 20 guys. I don't know what that means, but even still, this is just over a might. One of the most infamous of these strikes was the bombing of a densely populated neighborhood in the Jabalia refugee camp on October 31st, 2023. The attack was personally approved by IDF Chief of Staff Lieutenant General Herzi Halevi, knowing it would kill hundreds of Palestinian civilians, which means the U.S. knew as well. A source told 972 that the permissible number of civilian casualties was set at around 300. 300 to kill a single Hamas battalion commander. I don't know, battalion. I mean, what do you think a battalion size typically is? Okay, well, a battalion is a military unit that consists of 300 to 1,200 soldiers, what it says. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't remember that from my military know-how. But even then, I think it's different from each branch. So now this is specifically Army. So I don't know how that would the breakdown of that would be for Hamas. Okay, well, I mean, they're saying if that's a battalion commander, I don't know. I guess it's hard to say to what degree it is actually the import of a Hamas battalion commander is. But even still, 300. That's kind of wild. To kill a single Hamas battalion commander, Ibrahim Biari. Okay, so this is a specific one. So they were willing to kill 300. That was their permissible amount in order to take out that guy. A whole neighborhood died for Ibrahim Biari, another source said. The bombing leveled at least 12 residential buildings, and the bodies of 126 Palestinians were dug out of the rubble, including 68 children. I think I vaguely recall that one, too. That one was pretty fucked up. The 972 report said that while it was never official Israeli policy that all Palestinians in Gaza were responsible for enabling Hamas in the October 7th attack on southern Israel, it was present in hallway conversations and coffee breaks all the time. The report notes that while the Israeli accusation is that Hamas purposely places its tunnels under densely populated civilian areas, which Hamas denies, the Israeli military also has underground military facilities near residential areas in Israel. In comments to 972, Michael Safard, a human rights lawyer, referenced the pit, the nickname for an underground Israeli military operations center near residential areas of Tel Aviv. Imagine this was Tel Aviv and not Jabalia, and that in order to reach the pit, the neighborhoods around the Kuria would be bombed, Savard said. You don't know where the military tunnels under the Kuria reach. You don't know exactly where your target is, and you want to make sure he is killed. So you bomb the adjacent streets. Nobody would accept such a thing, and they wouldn't. Throughout Israel's genocidal war, members of the Biden administration claimed they were concerned about the high number of civilian casualties in Israel's bombing campaign. But the 972 report confirms they were accomplices in the worst instances of civilian harm, and they enabled the attacks by providing the bomb. So once more, to recap, the whole crux of this issue is kind of providing the point to the degree to which Israeli and U.S. forces were working hand in hand, at least to the degree of having knowledge of where these strikes were going, who they were supposed to hit, who they ended up actually hitting. So this is all intel we had, and we're in the know. So we are complicit. I mean, there's not really any way around it that we are complicit in these murders. I mean, I say we. I had nothing to do with it. I mean, the individuals that did this, the government. So, in an interview shortly before he left office, Biden essentially admitted they agreed to support major Israeli massacres of civilians after a conversation with Netanyahu. Describing his conversation with Netanyahu, Biden said, I said, but Bibi, you can't be carpet bombing these communities. And he said to me, well, you did it. You carpet bombed Berlin. Once again, he didn't. Biden didn't carpet bomb Berlin. And this is what, this one, I don't know. This is this collective mindset. And then also on top of that, this mindset of like, oh, well, we did. Being set in this like fucking this brain of like, oh, well, this thing happens. Well, maybe you should question if you're saying like, well, this doesn't seem right, and then they go, oh, well, what about Berlin? And then you go, you're right. You're like, without even thinking about Berlin. Well, maybe then you should question if there's such a parallel between the two, and you were already starting from the point from the one thing was wrong. Maybe you should at least consider for a moment that the other thing was wrong. Berlin was wrong. I'm sorry. It plain and simple was. And then he also says you dropped a nuclear weapon. You killed thousands of innocent people because you had to in order to win a war. Both were wrong. Those were just plain and simple wrong. And those should have been condemned by the world. And if anything, this would have been a time to go, well, those were wrong. And we're not looking back in the past. We're looking forward. And currently you are committing war crimes. Biden continues saying Netanyahu was going after me for saying you can't indiscriminately bomb civilian areas. Even if the bad guys are there. Even if the bad guys are there, you can't take out 2, 10, 1,500 innocent people in order to get one bad guy. Biden then conceded he thought Netanyahu made a legitimate argument that Israel should take out the buildings above the tunnels. And made the legitimate argument his perspective. Look, these are the guys that killed my people. These are guys that are all over in these tunnels. Nobody has any idea of the miles of tunnels that are down there. The only way to get to them is to take out the places under which they got to the tunnels. So, I mean, this is justification for some of the worst things in the world. And also the way this is carried out, like, we could pretty much probably go into damn near any nation and just claim they have tunnels, whether they do or don't. Which, by the way, I think Hamas probably does. But I'm just saying, it's like, there's no, like, hey, prove it or anything like that. It's just, okay, yep, they got tunnels. All right, we'll move on. It's just such a, I mean, hell, I mean, you could use the same argument in Vietnam. We can just fucking nuke the entire place because they were utilizing tricks and going under, making little tunnels themselves and stuff like that. So I don't know, I guess they weren't doing residential areas, so it probably wouldn't. There's not as good of a parallel to be had there. All right, let's check in the chat for you guys. With you guys, what's up? What is up? So, let's see, here we go. We got Alan popping in. Get in, nerds. We're auditing the Fed 100%. All right. What else we got? What else? Oh, well, I guess still sort of on this note, ragging on Israel. Here is a video of Hyla Klein, I think this is H3's girlfriend or wife or fiance or some shit. I don't fucking know. I've never really got too much into them. I know they're a big deal. But this is Hyla Klein claiming that a Nova Festival survivor who saw rape and gang rape killed themselves because they couldn't deal with the trauma. She cites this as part of her regurgitation of the genocidal atrocity propaganda rape hoax, saying there's just so much evidence for it. She is referring to a suicide letter that was posted online claiming this over 6 months ago, which was debunked as a hoax by Israeli reporters a day after it came out. Even Hen Mazig and other genocidal Zionist propagandists who shared it were forced to retract it. But Hyla Klein is now citing it to an audience of millions as the main evidence for the rape hoax. These scum have no shames. All right, let's go ahead and see what she says here.
If you want more first-hand accounts, there's even a person that survived the Nova disaster. They managed to survive it. And then I think maybe a year later or a few months later, they ended up committed suicide because they couldn't bear to live having seen what they saw on that day.
Is there more than one person that committed suicide?
It might be more. For some reason, I don't know the exact number. I know there's for sure one that I know for sure, but there might be more. And I mean, the kind of stuff that they saw was like rape, gang rape,
mutilation, torture.
Yeah. So they had to witness that and could not.
Mutilation, no breathing, don't give me. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. All right. So you see here, Hyla Klein cited a fake suicide letter as the main evidence for the genocidal atrocity propaganda rape hoax, as Ethan Klein nods along, and then they call others spreaders of disinfo. The depravity is astonishing, literally citing a fake letter. So here is, there's a reference to the fake letter. It says, breaking, the Nova survivor suicide letter rape testimony has been proven to be yet another hoax, exactly like I said it was. Zionist propaganda scum like Hen Mazig accumulated millions of views for a vile, depraved propaganda hoax lie, and they will keep doing it over and over again. So he, to prove this, I guess, cited, here's a picture of someone named Ada Shafir, and it is written in Hebrew, and then it's translated. It says, a story that ran in recent days about a Nova survivor who saw horrors and committed suicide did not leave a single eye dry. While trying to reach the family to tell their story, the search turned into investigation. We will reveal tonight in the tube that it is a complete fake. It is not clear what brings people to invent stuff like this, but to cheapen the real plight of survivors and to play with the souls of others, it's simply disgusting. This is from Adam Shafir. So those in the Western media and political class, actual journalists and ambassadors like the German one below, gleefully sharing that deranged anonymous rape hoax testimony without even bothering with minimal verification. So then he's just providing examples, I guess, about other people doing it. So, all right, here is, and he says, I want you all to read the fabricated Nova survivor suicide letter rape testimony that, blah, blah, blah. Look how they crafted the rape lines. I saw her face. They took turns raping. I saw it all. The detailed, vivid physical descriptions like a personal point of view account, tugging your heartstrings and emotions in the most cynical, manipulative, depraved ways imaginable. All the fake testimonies that the mass rape hoax is fabricated with are exactly the same. I saw them taking turns raping, cutting his breasts, and playing with it, raping until pelvises broke. I saw it all with my own eyes. I smelled it with my nose. I felt it with my hands. They are all the same script that's being used and reused over and over again. The New York Times, BBC, Reuters, AP, Guardian, New Yorker, all actually putting the same deranged hoax testimonies, these genocidal atrocity propaganda hoax scripts, as fact. Which, I mean, I wish I'd it's been a while since I listened to, was it Daryl Cooper's story or thing, and it's been a while since I really read any sort of like deep Israel history literature. But I do recall, I mean, maybe it wasn't this specific stuff, but I swear it was like throughout antiquity there are examples where literally it's the other side doing it. Because, I don't know, this is one of those things that most people don't take the time to really read multiple books or listen to, huge series about the history of how Israel was founded or blah, blah, blah. But it is astounding how many cases of things there are out there really is the what is the anti-Semitic saying? They say it's like it cries out as it attacks you or whatever. Like how often that is true in the case of Israel as a country and its history and the things that they have done. That how often they have literally done the most awful fucking things and then they just accuse their enemies of doing that. Like the whole poisoning, literally the expression "poisoning the well" that comes from I believe it was Jewish settlers in the early days of setting up an Israeli state, essentially poisoning Palestinians. So I mean, I hesitate to say this is the case, but I swear there were cases basically like this that happened to the Palestinians to force them out, because a lot of people don't realize how fucking awful the Nakba was. There were crazy fucking things that happened. I mean, I think there was some that was probably intentionally spread and it was fake or whatever, but intentionally by Israel to scare the Palestinians. But there was stuff that They legit did some fucking crazy atrocities to these people, and then on top of that, then amplified it to other Palestinians to essentially try to force them out, and then later played the victim. So it's kind of astounding how the degree to this country will, no, I didn't, you did. Like, it's astounding. But anyways, we're not going to read all of that, but let's get back to the original. There we go. Let's get back to the original one. They also keep citing Amit Susana, so we're back on the original thread, damn it, as giving firsthand testimony of rape. It's even in the New York Times, you scum-lying piece of shit. She never uses the term rape. She explicitly has never called it rape, not in the New York Times piece, nor anywhere else. Okay, so this is another person who made some sort of claims, even though I guess she never actually ended up saying rape. All right. She also repeatedly altered her uncorroborated story in crucial ways and spread genocidal propaganda on behalf of the Israeli rape regime, which once again, to my point I made a minute ago, I don't know if you guys recall this. Do you guys recall the prison rape stories, in Israel? So it's like almost unbelievable, the stuff you hear coming out of there. Because what was it? Well, we had literal protests in the Knesset where big members, like actual, I don't know, I guess like high level members of the Knesset throwing fucking bitch fits because they couldn't rape their prisoners. And actually they could. It was just that they were upset that that people got upset about it. So that is the country we're dealing with. I mean, it's at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. I mean, I don't know, maybe you can make the case that people are better somehow, but the mob mentality people, like the mob there and the actual Knesset, and then even at least the mob isn't great. I mean, I definitely am not saying there aren't perfectly fine people there that are just like don't know, that have nothing to do with all this, but I don't know. It seems the impression I get more and more from Israel that it is just a fucking degenerate place. I don't know, whatever. I'm probably gonna get this fucking stream taken down. Highland Ethan Klein cite that as the fountain of truth for the rape hoax, even though it's pure unfiltered genocidal atrocity propaganda debunked by countless outlets, including the same UN reports they claim to have read. This is the most important point. Ethan Klein has said the actual Israeli mass rape of Palestinians is fake. It's all made up. All the countless testimonies are fake. But this cunt subhuman demands you believe fabricated hoax lies from genocidal Zionists. Okay, so now we have, I guess Ethan has also made the reverse claims that the rapes, the Palestinian rapes, are fake. So I guess the literal, we saw that video where they pulled one aside and raped. And to be fair, you can't tell they're actually raping him, but they're clearly doing something awful to the guy in the one video that I saw from the prison. You also have the story where the guy I believe he got raped with like a rod. Like the one that started that protest I told you about, it was a prisoner that multiple, I believe, some sort of IDF members or something, I think it might have been some other different group, but some sort of Israeli entity, essentially, gang raped a Palestinian with some sort of like rod. I want to say, if I recall correctly, it was even like a hot rod or something, like it had been like a burning rod or something insane. Like it's stuff that you just like cannot even really imagine. This is the level of depravity that happens there. So. I don't know. I mean, sure, maybe it's all made up, but that's not my impression. So here we go. Yeah, here he shared a video of a Palestinian civilian raped by female Israeli guards. He's given direct testimony that children are also being mass raped in their dungeons. He says genital manipulation and torture is routine, and Israeli doctors also joining the torture. Zero coverage in Western media. Let's you guys check this one if you want. It's 3 minutes long, yeah. Final points. Ethan Klein keeps saying, "Oh my God, why won't Hassan watch my video? Oh my God, oh my God." First of all, he already said he will go over. I mean, okay, whatever. I'm skimming through this because I don't give a shit about the rest of this drama nonsense. But I just thought it was an interesting example of how this stuff gets spread around, how people buy this bullshit. All right, let's go. Let's get back in here. Let's see what you guys have to say. A broom handle? Was it a broom handle? I swear it was some sort of. Maybe it was a broom handle. This is what Heavy Chevy is 3500 saying. So here you go. There was bacteriological warfare during the Nakba. All the crazy ethnic strife of Eastern Europe was imported to what was Palestine. Yeah, it's really fun. Oh, I look really cute this morning. Thank you, man. That means a lot. Aw, I trimmed my beard down a little bit. I think I like it a little bit shorter. Just maybe I don't know. I just made my hair look nice. Thank you. That means a lot. Doctor says Israel's an apartheid state on steroids. Yup. So we flooded the tunnels in Nam, Operation Popeye. There you go. Well, actually, we did. Yeah, I forgot about Popeye. Yeah. Operation Popeye. Then the one where I think we tried to like summon storms. Essentially, there was weather propaganda shit right there. Yeah, that's a wild one. Good call, Doctor. Horrible voice. Yes. Ethan's wife does have god awful voice. All right. Yeah, the Gaddafi treatment. That is what happened to that person. The Gaddafi treatment. All right. More. Okay. Now we're swinging back to the good. Breaking: 60,000 federal employees have now accepted President Trump's buyout resignation offer per News Nation. Now, I will tell you, I want this to spread. I want like literally every government position whatsoever to get this offer. Because now I say this because I'm no longer in anymore, so it doesn't matter. I can't get this buyout, but it's like I can tell you. I guess in my head from the military, I can't tell you how many people I know, like literally almost everyone at like anywhere, probably over like 5 or 6 years, and like in less than 15 years, maybe even less than 12 years in, they don't fucking want to be there, like in the military. At least that's my anecdotal like experience is from being when I was in there, because those who don't recall, I got out of active duty 11 years deep. And most people were like, oh, you're crazy. Because it's like, to some extent, I kind of was. Because I was like over halfway to a pension. But it's like, dude, this is fucking god awful. I mean, obviously, I'm morally against it. Like, because you guys know my stances on things. But I don't know. I got a family. I got bills to pay. So it's kind of like, to some extent, you swallow that pill and you just keep on moving forward. But it's just like, you just got a point where it's fucking awful. And I kind of had like other things that like were sort of playing out to be able to transition. I had my like you guys know I like breed cats, and like I have other methods of receiving money. So like while it is rough, and it still is kind of tough, and you guys help out with that a lot with your support, and I appreciate that. And by supporting the show, that definitely helps. But point being, kind of what I'm getting at is there's just so many people that are in this really annoying spot in a government career where they're just like, and we talked about this entire gang, and Clint kind of agreed. I guess it's also like a corporate thing, but it very much applies to government as well. Corporate government. I mean, kind of a very, very similar concepts anyways. But I can't tell you how many people that if they were given 8 months to be able to get out, they'd be out. They'd be out in a heartbeat. You're going to give me 8 months pay, and so I have time to figure things out. I can't tell you, because there's so many people that are like 5, 6, 7, 8 years deep or less than 12, and they're just like they hate what they're doing, but they have bills to pay, they have mouths to feed. They're halfway to a pension, so they're like, oh man, I'm like 10 years away from like not having to work again, or not having to work very much. So I get where in people's head is like a hard calculation to make, where you're just like, this is, I mean, I'll be honest, I do feel I definitely am glad I'm out, because if overall I feel like life's better, but it is rough. I get it, and so if this was an offer made to the military, I mean, it would hollow that motherfucker out, and it would be great. I know a lot of people, this is not something that would be popular in this group for sure. But, I mean, hey, if they don't want to be there, do you really want them there? Maybe you should think about what to do, ways around it. So, all right, I just want to share this mostly just to give some shine to my homie. And honestly, I mean, a lot of times we talk on this show shitting on Elon Musk, and I still don't trust him. But, like, he's been doing a lot of good stuff recently. I will give him that. And I just thought this was interesting because my buddy Clint here kind of had the right take when it comes to the Doge stuff. And then Elon comes along and says, exactly. I mean, it's better than his wows. But I want to read this because, I mean, it's showing that, Elon, quote tweeted this. So he's amplifying this message and agreeing with it. Because I'm going to read it in a second. But essentially the crux of what Clint is about to get at is the idea I've said many times already is this. A lot of the righties are, looking at this Doge shit and going like, oh my God, look, they're studying transsexual patterns in partridges in Ecuador or whatever. Like, whereas it's, no, if you follow this money, like this is like psyop shit. This is like next level, like, Fed shit. But if you're focused on the minutia of like, oh my God, look at this woke nonsense, you're going to miss it. But let's read this. My buddy Clint. The Doge discoveries are not just about wasted taxpayer funds. The real story, the 5-alarm fire, is that USAID was literally funding an entirely handcrafted pseudo-reality, not just in America, but all over the world. You were robbed to fund global psychological operations, buying off media outlets, pushing advertiser boycotts against X and Rumble as they attempt to decrease censorship, aka narrative control, pushing war propaganda, funding opposition groups in foreign lands to foment revolutions, funding lawfare against the former president of the United States and his supporters. I could go on for an hour. People get caught up on the $100,000 to study cocaine's impact on Chihuahua stories. That is not the headline here. The headline here is the U.S. government robbed you blind in an effort to control your mind. That's about as big as it gets. So, and then, as I just showed, then you have Elon going, wow. No, I'm just kidding. He said exactly. But still, I mean, hey, you have Elon, sharing and amplifying this and agreeing. So that's cool. Although I will say I did kind of shit on something he said today. He said, actually, I'll go ahead and I'll go and bring that one up just because he goes, is the left really just a giant kleptocracy? The evidence increasingly suggests it is. Obviously, these aren't the exact same examples of what I just laid out, but this kind of feels like what I was just describing, where he goes, because he's essentially alluding to like all this USAID stuff, and it's like, oh, is the left just really just a big giant kleptocracy? And you're like, you're making this a left-right thing? Like, because no, this is the whole fucking thing. That's what this is. This isn't a left-right thing, and it's a fucking stupid way to look at it. That's like basically a hop, skip, and a jump. Well, not even a hop, skip, jump. It's basically a hop away from the mentality I just laid out, where you're like, oh, look at all this woke shit, and then missing all the psyop Fed stuff going on, and just going, oh, woke. Well, they just want us, the left wants us to be woke, and you're like, no, you're fucking stupid, and that's kind of that seems to be what is going on here. So I don't know. I mean, at the same time, he is a team player. He's literally like essentially, I guess, I don't know if you consider this a cabinet position or what he's doing, but he's essentially part of the cabinet of Trump. So it makes sense he would. But either way, I find it heartening that that he boosted my buddy's signal in that way. Considering the message that he was putting out. All right, more on the Doge front. Breaking: Doge staffers are reportedly conducting 15-minute interviews with federal employees to justify their positions before deciding they should be fired. This is 15 minutes too long, in my opinion, but hey, this is fucking cool. I'm here for it. Hey, tell me why you should exist now. You're stammering? Get the fuck out of here. I'm here for it. I think it's dope. I hope we see more of this. All right, I'm going to check in the chat with you guys, see what you guys have to say for a little bit. And then we're going to get into our Ellen Greenberg story. I'm looking forward to that. Geez, you guys are being quiet in the chat. All right, well, fuck you. Just kidding, guys. All right, guys, the Ellen Greenberg story. I found a good Fox News story, and this is by Molly Markowitz and Michael Ruiz. But I found this. I was digging just the other day, trying to find more on the how, the why. Because we covered the what recently, so I still came away from this like, how did this get covered up? I mean, it went to the point to, the Shapiro thing, which we mentioned. Apparently, it's just it crossed his office later to get looked over again, somewhere in the realm of 5 to 10 years later. So it's like how does it get this far? It was such a crazy, clearly not a suicide. How did it go through so many hands and still go, yeah, totally a suicide. Oh, yeah, totally a suicide. That's where we're going to kind of go into. I think we're going to get a little bit more of a better picture of that here. So obviously we're going to probably end up recapping some information so far as the specifics of the murder, but the last one we covered was more just the specifics of what happened, and then kind of the story of their parents fighting it and how they'd recently just gotten I don't know if it was the medical examiner or what, to change their ruling on it, even though it wasn't really legally binding since it didn't work there anymore, but more of a symbolic thing. All right, anyways, here we go. A judge tied to Ellen Greenberg's fiance took items from her suicide scene before police search. The parents of Philadelphia teacher Ellen Greenberg are blasting what they call an unjust investigation into her 2011 death that was ruled a suicide after her fiancé found her in the kitchen during a blizzard with 20 stab wounds and covered in wounds with a half-made fruit salad on the countertop. Her parents want to know why her fiancé's prominent judge uncle was allowed to remove a number of items from the scene. Things were removed from the crime scene without our permission. The chain of custody was broken from the very beginning when Jim Schwartzman removed computers, electronics, my daughter's handbag. Dr. Josh Greenberg told Fox News Digital in a joint interview with his wife, Sandy Greenberg. A representative for James Schwartzman, Ellen's fiancé Sam Goldberg's uncle, and a distinguished judge in Pennsylvania responded to these claims on his behalf. Now, I want you guys to hone in on that. Now, Sam Goldberg, this is a fiancé of Ellen Greenberg, the dead. You know, if you're watching, you can see a picture of a very pretty lady. You know, seems really nice. Then there's her fiancé with her. That's at Sam Goldberg. Now, Sam Goldberg's uncle is a distinguished judge in Pennsylvania. So we're starting to see maybe a little bit of some sort of incestuous relationship with the justice, the judicial system here, which could play a part. Responded to these claims on his behalf, saying police gave him permission to go in and take Ellen's belongings. He denied removing Ellen's handbag, but he admitted to removing her computers and cell phones. The door was damaged and unsecure, and he took out items that he thought might be stolen, the representative for Schwartzman explained on his behalf. Responding to Dr. Greenberg's concern about the chain of custody of his daughter's devices, Schwartzman representative said, "My understanding from 42 years of practice is chain of custody pertains to items that have been seized by the police, not items just taken from a location. I just don't understand how that's applicable to this particular situation, especially when the police have given the scene and given permission to Mr. Schwartzman to go and get items." So essentially we're dealing with, the idea is he did take stuff, this judge, the uncle of Sam Greenberg, the fiance, the most likely person to probably be the murderer. Obviously we don't know. We don't know this for sure, but the uncle, who is a well-known judge in the area, took stuff from there, which I guess, to be fair to him, he does have a good point. I guess the police essentially never, they essentially said you could, basically is the idea, that it never got labeled as a crime scene, because, it's my understanding from my recollection from the one we read the other day, I believe right from the beginning, it never was like, oh, this is a crime scene. This is like immediately straight from, oh, it's got to be a suicide. So that's why he was able to take stuff from there, because it's not like a crime scene. The scene had essentially been released to just do whatever with it. There's no reason, he can't fuck with those things. So, but now how the fuck do we have someone who gets stabbed 20 times, that you somehow go, oh, just kidding, it's a suicide. You can take whatever. I guess, we talked about it last time, and they might get into it a little bit, but the door was locked is the big thing. And so they go, oh, the claim is the door was locked. But even then, I guess that's kind of up in the air, because I guess it seems more and more as time went on that was based on the word of the fiance saying it was locked. Because he said something like he had security help him, and then later it wasn't so clear that he actually had security help him. So it seems like it's just something he said. So, and whether that's true or not, I don't know. It's still wild. Even if it was locked, someone who got stabbed 20 times, you would think you would make it a crime scene. He added that Schwartzman didn't need the permission of Greenberg's parents to take anything from the apartment once police released the scene. Frankly, that's kind of a red herring, he said. When the police phoned Mr. Schwartzman and requested they bring the computers and cell phones to the police station, he immediately did so. So now they're even saying they requested he brought them to the police station. It makes no sense why the police wouldn't do it themselves. Here's a little infographic to kind of show the stabbing, where all, so this image shows Ellen Greenberg, an undated family photo, and a computer-generated photo based on an autopsy report showing knives to indicate where she had been stabbed 20 times. So you can see all through her torso, towards her chest part of her torso, and the back of her head and her neck. That's far more than anyone would probably be able to do to themselves, it seems. I guess you could. To be fair, we don't know how deep each one of these are. Still, Greenberg's parents and experienced outside investigators have raised concerns that police botched their response and released the scene too early. You don't say. An appellate court panel last year excoriated the police, prosecutors, and forensic pathologists who worked the case, even as it ruled against the parents. Schwartzman, a prominent attorney, was elected president judge of the Pennsylvania's Supreme Court's Court of Judicial Discipline in 2021. Okay, so he's on the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. All right, well, that's something. Although I guess I don't know exactly the layout of it, because he said the Supreme Court's Court of Judicial Discipline. So I guess some sort of subsidiary of this Pennsylvania Supreme Court is what it sounds like. So something right below it. Still seems pretty high up to me. The court responsible for hearing judicial misconduct cases from across the state. He had been a judge in the court in the 2 years prior to his election. Oh my God, he's a judicial misconduct guy. That's funny. He is also a partner and chair of the Ethics and Professional Responsibility Group with the Stevens and Lee law firm according to Professional Profile. Also, supremely ironic. So this is the Ethics and Professional Responsibility guy. He's also the judicial misconduct guy. That is beyond ironic. Neither Goldberg nor Schwartzman have been accused of any wrongdoing. And just a reminder, the Schwartzman is Goldberg, the fiance's uncle. Melissa Ware, the former property manager of Ellen's apartment building, previously spoke to Fox Nation about receiving a call from someone who she believed was Schwartzman at the time. I received a call from someone in Sam's family. I think it might have been the uncle. They wanted to come to the apartment to get a few personal effects for the funeral. I immediately called the police to see what I could or couldn't do, and they told me that there was no problem letting them in. It was no longer a crime scene, Ware said. And then I asked, well, what does the condition of the apartment look like? Because I hadn't been inside. Is there someone that could clean it up? And they said it's something they didn't do, Ware continued. I asked for a recommendation. They gave me a crime scene cleanup. She called the company, which arrived to wipe out the scene the day before the police came back with a search warrant. Holy fuck. According to the Greenberg family's lawyer, Joe Pedraza, in appellate court documents. Oh wow. So the day before, as a warrant was probably in work, so you'd think someone would know. I mean, I guess to be fair, whoever the fuck they called probably didn't know, if I had to guess. I mean, I guess they could have, but I mean, they probably just some fucking schmuck that said, looked up somewhere, typed something. Oh no, doesn't show that's an active crime scene anymore or something. You know what I mean? Something along those lines. So. I mean, I'm not necessarily saying that's anything sinister. It's probably more of a government fuck up. Although they might have been totally willing to do something sinister there too. But it just seems like if you just called the police department and someone said, oh, no, that's good, there could easily just be some sort of fuck up. Especially if it's like a search warrant wasn't in work. I don't know. I don't know enough about police work. So maybe if any of you guys are former cops out there, you know that this seems bizarre. But it seems bizarre that the day before they would release it, they say it's no longer a crime scene, and literally the next day they come back with a search warrant. But it's too late now because it's already essentially been cleaned. So according to the Greenberg family's lawyer, a knife found in Greenberg's chest was never fingerprinted, and a second possible weapon was never recovered. So they never did fingerprints on the knife. Investigators didn't use the blood-detecting chemical luminol to examine the scene. Greenberg, so they cleaned it up, and they don't even know anything about blood spatter, fingerprints, nothing, because of this monumental fuck up where they essentially told them that there was no longer a crime scene, and the next day they came back with a search warrant. So January 27th, or Greenberg 27 was found on January 6, 2011, with 20 stab wounds, including 10 from behind. At least one could have been inflicted after she was already dead, according to court documents. Her body was also covered in bruises in different stages of healing, which her parents say are consistent with abuse. Different stages of healing. That implies this is an ongoing thing, so that's interesting. After her death, a forensic pathologist with the city medical examiner's office named Dr. Marlon Osborne ruled it a homicide, according to court documents. Then he reversed course after meeting with police behind closed doors and deemed it officially a suicide. Oh, shit. Okay. So holy shit. So the forensic pathologist literally, I think this is the same one from earlier, the giant fat black dude that changed it again. So actually, I'm going to look him up real quick, see if I'm correct, because I want to check that out. If that's the same fat black guy we covered the other day. It's not now. Let me see. There we go. Images. Yeah, no, that's the fat black guy that we had. You guys see right here. The same fat black guy. Okay, well, that's wild. So this guy has reversed it twice. He initially ruled it a homicide, and then later he had a meeting with police behind closed doors, changed it to a suicide. Years later, after fucking tons of fucking prying from the family, and they actually had a lawsuit against him. Essentially, as condition of dropping the lawsuit, he changed it to not even a homicide, but kind of like I forget what he said, what it is, but essentially something unknown, or I forget the specific terminology used there. But either way, that's wild. Okay. There's no reason for the police to withhold anything in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Suicide is not a crime, Dr. Greenberg told Fox News Digital. So why are they holding on to my doctor's personal effects? I'd like to see my daughter's journal, Sandy Greenberg said. I would like her Ugg boots. I'd like her glasses. I don't see any reasons to withhold these things from us when they insist this is a suicide. Okay, so now they're withholding stuff as well. I mean, I don't know if they've received it since then, because this was written in 2024, I think, we looked at the top, so this isn't that old. And this is like well over a decade ago. I think they said 2011 she died, so it's been 14 years now. So there's no reason they shouldn't have her personal effects back. All right, let's... The Greenbergs claim that in addition to Ellen's belongings, Philadelphia officials are withholding further surveillance footage from the day of her daughter's death and a videotape that Ware recorded of the scene taken before it was cleaned up. All right. Police released several hours of surveillance footage from Greenberg's apartment building on the night of her death to Petraza, who first shared it with Gavin Fish, an independent investigative reporter who has a website dedicated to solving the case. Web sleuths and supporters of the family from around the country have spent hours watching clips of surveillance video from the apartment building's lobby and hallways for clues. A librarian told Penn Live that a man was seen on camera nervously bouncing around the lobby near the elevator before using a Kleenex to dab the blood from an unspecified injury. She reportedly sent that information to investigators. Huh. And then here's one of, okay, it says right here, watch Sam Goldberg, fiance of Ellen Greenberg at the time, seen in 2011 surveillance footage. Let's play this. Sorry for the audio people. This probably be useless for you, but okay, fuck. We got an ad here. All right. I'll let the ad run more. The video makes me very curious because I don't know who a number of people that appear in that video are, whether they were residents or visitors, Sandy Greenberg said. I wanted like a 48-hour window of people coming, going to the building. I asked for a guest list. I didn't get that. They shouldn't be withholding this information from us. We're talking about a chunk of surveillance footage, which is really a couple hours. Sandy and I have never seen more than a chunk of surveillance, Dr. Greenberg said. What the heck just happened? Do I keep going? Well, shit. Now it exited out. I don't know what just happened here. Oh, here we go. Here's camera footage. Oh, okay. Well, it was like 4 minutes worth. Huh. I thought it was going to be shorter. Sorry, guys. Well, I don't know what there might be something worthwhile in here if you went through it little by little. I mean, I guess you can see what's going on with him. All right, whatever. You guys can go check out that on its own if you want. I don't know if there's anything particular in there we're supposed to glean from it, but I'm not watching all 4.5 minutes with you guys being all silent, trying to pull some Sherlock Holmes on that. All right. Since her daughter's death, the Greenbergs have been entangled in court battles with the government. They've accused the medical examiner's office of covering up their daughter's homicide, demanded police turn over more evidence, and tried suing to have the designation of suicide on her death certificate replaced with homicide or undetermined. And I feel awful for these people. I can't imagine like your kid dying and like in the most obvious of ways, and then just being gaslit like this, like and having to bend over backwards anything just to get them to say nope. I mean, I don't know. I guess obviously, I've seen similar. With the Yiki thing, there's a lot of similarities to be had there. It's just fucked up thing to do to people, In September, Pennsylvania Supreme Court agreed to hear arguments from the Greenbergs and their attorney. Supreme Court is going to decide whether or not Sandy and I have a standing, and that's a real big thing. I mean, no one has ever gone this far. I know it's taken almost 14 years, but it's a very important case, Greenberg said. I very much look forward to being able to have our voices heard. Not only are we fighting now for justice for Ellen, because there's so much attention to these different lawsuits, it will set some precedent, hopefully, for other victims of heinous crimes. Okay. Yeah. Then the Chester County District's DA office initiated an independent investigation roughly 2 years that is ongoing after both Philadelphia District Attorney Larry Krasner and former Pennsylvania Attorney General Josh Shapiro, now the governor, both recused themselves from the case. Okay. I didn't know he recused himself for some reason. Okay. I thought Shapiro essentially, said it was good, but I don't know. Maybe he did at some point. I forget the ins and outs. But Philadelphia police did not immediately respond to Fox News Digital's request for comment. They have previously declined to discuss the case, citing the open investigation in Chester County and the ongoing civil litigation. Goldberg and the Chester County. Okay, whatever. All right, that's all to that. I just, I still would like to kind of get a little bit more of the specifics when it came to Josh Shapiro and what he did there, because This is the first thing he saw that he recused himself. I saw before that he essentially it came across his desk and essentially maintained the status quo. I mean, obviously he was a good deal after the fact, so this would be came by his desk after the fact, like years after the fact, to kind of be like to essentially got re-brought up, and essentially my understanding from my recollection is that he rubber stamped it, but maybe he recused himself, or maybe there's two separate examples. I'm gonna have to look further to dig into that. But either way, I mean, this is pretty nuts, and I think obviously this is kind of a weak connection, but the uncle, man, that kind of does have a lot of explanatory power here, because it is really like, what? How does this even happen? There's a lot of like wows or hows here that just kind of leave you confused. Like what? Like how does something like this happen? You'd think there would need to be some sort of crazy something or other, but I guess it really maybe could just be as simple as somebody had a family member that is a big dog and probably donates a lot of money to other people or whatever. So I don't know. It might just be literally that simple. So all right, let's pop back into the chat, see what you guys say. Pennsylvania is one of the most corrupt states in America. Is run by old money. Yes, for sure. The same state that had a judge taking kickbacks from a prison firm to keep teens harsher sentences so they could keep their brand new juvenile detention center full. Steffi says, so sad their family went through all this. Yeah, it is. It's pretty fucked up. These are the kind of stories that really get to me. Like, I don't know. Man, just stuff like that just fucks me. Like, was it just the other day? I literally, my kid was, I came out here, my kid was watching some on the TV, and I'm like, what are you watching? And she so happened to be watching this, like, video of, like, a tornado hunter, and it was, like, the great, like, 4K, like, type, like, top level of it. And I was like, holy shit, this is cool. Sat down and watched it, and then, like, next thing I know, I'm, like, stuck glued to the TV for, like, 20 minutes, because this dude, like, literally, like, this guy's, like, videoing this, like, tornado taking out this house, and he didn't realize, he was just videoing the tornado. He didn't know anything, but then he saw it hit a house, and he thought it missed it, and then he realized the house was basically gone. And then he just like fucking like and then the kid who was like following the tornado literally saved this family. Like there was a family that came out of the wreckage with the only thing standing. Essentially, I think their car was in the garage. Their car was still there, and like the whole house was gone. And somehow, as he pulled up to the tornado, the whole family, a husband, wife, and two small children, like literally ran out of the wreckage. And then like he brought, and it was like just I don't know that like I literally was almost crying. It was like holy shit, because I don't know, stuff like that, just like any like family anything, man, that stuff like just fucks with me. So these sort of stories really get to me. So I guess this is why I'm drawn to them. But so if anyone has more on the specifics, at least to cover different angles, because I think we've covered most everything. I'm kind of curious and more in the Shapiro angle, if what the specifics of what he did, if he did recuse, if he didn't recuse, or if he did both, if he did rubber stamp it. Because I know there were lots of talks that somehow people have implied that he was complicit in some way. And so I'm curious if he was or wasn't. I know at the time this happened, he wasn't the AG, so he didn't really have a part in it at that time, but later he did. And that's what a lot of people point to. So I don't know if you guys have anything like that, we can go more into that. I think maybe aside from that, I think we've kind of covered most of it. And just kind of good luck to these people. As I said, they did recently get the doctor, whoever the fuck his name is, the fat black dude, to change his ruling. Although he doesn't work there anymore, so it's more symbolic than anything. But still, maybe that can be something that gets some traction going off of it. But yeah, here's Heavy Chevy saying is wild. Never heard this. Nepotism's a hell of a drug. Think, change, repeat. Said I'm not familiar with this case. Was she a whistleblower anyway? That's the thing. That's why I don't know. That's why I'm saying this is one of those ones that kind of confounds me, and I've wanted to dig into more because it's just like, what is going on here? Like there isn't really a real reason. It literally looks like it may just be as simple as some sort of domestic abuse, and like some dudes stabbed the fuck out of his girlfriend, and then, oh shit, I fucked up, and then he calls his fucking rich family, and they go, oh, don't worry, we got this. That's kind of what it feels like. I mean, I've never seen anything that shows anything about her. I mean, because you would assume, yeah, I know, like a whistleblower or something. You would think something that this level of like, incredibly overtly obvious like murder, that we go, no, that's a suicide. You would think something like that. There would be some deep, like something like a Terrence Yeaky, where it's like, oh, you mean the whole entire like shtick behind the Oklahoma City bombing is at stake for you guys? Okay, I get it. I get why you did that. This is just some asshole who beat the shit out of his girlfriend, probably, allegedly. Needed mommy and daddy and uncle to save his ass. It might just be as simple as that. Which is kind of depressing that like really as little as that can do something to this degree. I mean, like, you kind of expect it when you see something like a JFK or an OKC. You're like, okay, I get it. You got some crazy shit you guys need to cover up. This isn't that crazy, I don't think. I really think it's pretty simple. And it's just plain and simple corruption is what it looks like to me. But all right, guys, so we got a few more things to get through here, and we'll get out of here. I just shared this on Twitter the other day. This is from Coleon Noir. He says a federal judge in Mississippi just dropped a ruling that ATF sweating bullets, literally. Judge Carlton Reeves ruled that the federal machine gun ban is unconstitutional. The state could send shockwaves through the entire gun rights debate. So anyways, long and short, we're going to read through here in a second, but it looks like we might be getting machine guns back, baby. What happened? Justice Bryce Brown was charged with owning a machine gun under 18 USC 922, a law that bans the possession of machine guns made after 1986. The judge ruled that the government failed to prove that banning machine guns aligns with historical firearm restrictions, a key test under the Supreme Court's Bruin decision. The dangerous and unusual argument fell apart when the court found that 740,000 legally owned machine guns exist in the U.S. today. If nearly 1 million people own something, can it really be called unusual? Which, for those who are unaware, I think you can get like tax stamps or something. You got to get like approval to get machine guns. You can get machine guns in the United States, just not like, I mean, hell, even guns, you got to go through like, you go through like background checks, this, that, but like, depending on where you're buying it and this and that. But like, it's not like you can't just go pick up a machine gun and walk out same day or like, it's a whole to do. But anyways, what this means, this ruling only applies to this case for now, but if it gets appealed to the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, things could get very interesting. The Fifth Court previously upheld the machine gun ban in Hollis versus Lynch, but back then there were only 175 legally owned machine guns. Now that number is 740,000, a fourfold increase. That could change everything. If the Fifth Circuit agrees with this ruling, it could put major pressure on the Supreme Court to revisit the federal machine gun ban. The big question, are machine guns really unusual if nearly 1 million of them are legally owned? And if they're not, does the government have the authority to ban them at all? It is wild that we're at the crux of here is whether it's unusual and that somehow grants the government, in their eyes, the legal right to restrict these things. I don't remember that being in the Bill of Rights. Unusual things we can ban, but either way, whatever. I mean, it's legal system's most fucking nonsense, anyways. What do you think? Is this the beginning of the end for the federal machine gun ban, or is the Fifth Circuit about to drop a massive plot twist? Drop your thoughts in the comments. But I thought that was pretty interesting. I mean, obviously, once again, this is one of those things. Do I think we're gonna get machine guns back? No, but I don't know. You never know. It's a fun one to check in out. Let me see. Yes, I was leaning that bit. It could be a spoiled rich, protected guy. Ted Kenny situation with more harm and malice. Yes. Dr. Roy said this kind of thing happened all the time where I lived in Pennsylvania. Once a year, you would hear in the local news, and that would be the end of it. Huh. Pistolero says, just tuning in. You going for 3 hours too, or is that just when Ozzy knows? That's just when Ozzy knows. I am not a 3-hour guy. Now, I will say next week, actually this weekend, probably like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I might do some long streams just because I'm going to be basically home alone over the weekend. But not much else to do. So just stuff around the house, streaming. So maybe we might be the 2+ hour, but no. I'm very much a 1 to 2 hour kind of guy. 45 minutes if I'm really, really pushing it. But I don't know. Austin likes to go a little bit longer. That's his prerogative. He can do that. We're not going for 3 hours though. But this would be cool. The kick goes okay. Background check and $200 stamp tax to own. $200 stamp tax to own. The law in 1986 created an artificial scarcity, which means transferable machines cost over $10,000 for the cheap, shitty ones. Okay, so essentially what you're saying is that at a minimum, these things are like $10,000 to begin with, and in order to get a background check and $200 stamp check, but the $10,000 is essentially they've created a situation to where like it's an artificial high amount because you're saying the scarcity has been artificial. But if they clear this out, then we might start getting more of them, lower the prices, and I can get a fucking turret. Hell yeah. Nepotism literally lets you get away with murder. The Chase B. Wild, he says. Oh, yeah, perhaps. All right. Let's. We got a couple more things to get through, and we'll get out of here. Here is from Libs of TikTok, which, once again, I do not like her. She sucks. But this is a good story. President Trump's plan for the largest tax cut in history for middle-class working Americans. No tax on tips. No tax on senior Social Security. No tax on overtime pay. Renew Trump's middle-class tax cuts, adjusting the SALT cap, eliminate all special tax breaks for millionaire sports teams owners, which I don't fucking care about that. Close the carried interest tax deduction loophole. I don't know. Tax cut for made in America products. Whatever. Cool, I guess. Some of those are pretty cool. No tax on tips. I don't really care about Social Security. I guess that's cool. No tax on overtime pay. But and renew middle class tax cuts, which I don't know how this is going to play out. But I will say, I remember when his tax stuff when it went through, I felt like it helped. I don't know. I'm here for tax cuts, though. If we're doing tax cuts, I'm here for it. So let's fucking go. Although sometimes we're told tax cuts, and then it just ends up fiddling numbers around here and there, and it's really not tax cuts. So, but I don't know. We'll find out. I do vaguely recall his back in 2016 when his tax stuff did seem to help. And he's been seeming to be a little bit more cavalier as of late with some of his moves. So maybe we'll get something a little bit more hardcore. I don't know. I'm here for it. Taxes have been fucking me the past few years, hard. So I'd be really cool if I could stop paying the IRS thousands of dollars. That'd be fucking dope. So let's play this.
So these are the tax priorities of the Trump administration that the president has laid out for members in that meeting today. No tax on tips, which is obviously a very public campaign promise that the president made. No tax on seniors' Social Security. No tax on overtime pay. Which
the overtime one, that one's actually pretty fucking sick. No tax on overtime, because my job, I don't really, they don't ever have overtime hours available. But my wife works overtime somehow, and sometimes, and overtime, man, that shit, if you're doing a bunch of overtime, the shit adds up quick. And now if you take out taxes, hell yeah, dude, I'm here for it. So let's fucking go.
Renewing President Trump's 2017 middle class tax cuts. Again, these are the president's priorities. Adjusting the SALT cap, eliminate all the special tax breaks for billionaire sports team owners, close the carried interest tax deduction loophole, tax cuts for made in America products. This will be the largest tax cut in history for middle class working Americans. The president is committed to.
Hey, I hope they are correct, and it does end up being the largest fucking tax break for middle class, because I could fucking use it, and I know a shitload of you guys could as well. I know where I'm at money-wise. We make decent money, but it's not even we're not upper class or anything. It's how am I spending? How am I having to give the IRS back thousands and thousands of dollars every year when it's I am maybe I'm probably middle class. I am probably peak middle class is where I'm at. And you're and you're still fucking me like this. It makes no sense. I don't know. I remember the days back when I was poor and I fucking would get money back. Those were the days. So taxes are a donation. That's funny. Here's Dr. Ray saying, paying taxes is avoidable. It requires a bit of work and sacrifice, but it's doable. Property tax is always the one that's most impossible to avoid. Yeah, there's definitely tricks and ways, and for legal reasons, I don't do any of those. I'm just, anything I say otherwise is a joke. I don't do any of those, but yeah, there are definitely ways to do it within reason. They are cutting overtime where I work because Trump is cutting taxes, so I'm looking for a different job. Okay, I'm sorry, dude. It's not funny. Okay, all right. I have one more story left for you guys. Let's do this. We talked about this a little bit on Austin's stream the other day. I mentioned it in passing. This was a pretty big story that Ken found. I don't think he wasn't the one who initially reported it, but he found it. This is a pretty big one that kind of slipped under the radar. But this is a huge precedent and a huge, one of those things if you extrapolate it from could be fucking wild. But this is a report Apple ordered to provide government access to all user data on the cloud. This is from the UK. So, this would essentially enable, the UK government, if assuming they fall in line, to have access to literally everything within Apple's cloud, which is all your nudes, all your fucking your murder fantasies about high level politicians or whatever. They're all coming out. The fuck was that? All right, the Washington Post reported Friday that the UK's deep state has demanded that Apple create a backdoor for them to retrieve all the content any Apple user worldwide has uploaded to the cloud, what would be an unprecedented erosion of online privacy and civil liberties. Citing anonymous sources, the Post reported that the British government's undisclosed order was issued last month. It reportedly requires Apple to give officials blanket capability to view fully encrypted material. Typically, Apple has assisted authorities on a case-by-case basis, such as helping the FBI access a terrorist phone, for example. The Post noted that the access sought by the UK has no known precedent in major democracies. According to the Post, the UK's order was made pursuant to the sweeping UK investigatory powers of 2016, which authorizes law enforcement to compel assistance from companies to access user data. The law, known by critics as the Snoopers Charter, makes it a criminal offense to reveal that the government has even made such a demand. Oh, wow. Apple can appeal the UK capability notice to a secret technical panel, which would consider arguments about the expense of the requirement, and to a judge who would weigh whether the request was in proportion to the government's needs. But the law does not permit Apple to delay complying during an appeal. Oh, shit. So they're technically supposed to be complying right now. The Apple spokesman reportedly declined to comment. The Post reported that Apple is likely to stop offering encrypted storage in the UK. Okay. But the creepy thing, though, is the implication is that they would still have access to everything elsewhere. Yet that concession would not fulfill the UK demand for backdoor access to the service in other countries, including the United States, the newspaper added. Which I would say, if you guys don't want all your information going to the UK, you may want to consider getting off pretty much everything Apple. Western countries, including the US, have been pushing for total access to online user data for years. In March 2021, for example, former FBI Director Christopher Wray told the Senate Judiciary Committee that encryption was stifling his agents from investigating domestic extremism. According to Wray and other law enforcers, tech companies should be able to build backdoors into their encryption that preserves privacy while allowing for access when necessary. That, they say, strikes a proper balance between data security and national security. However, numerous tech experts, civil libertarians, and others say it's impossible to build a backdoor that can't be exploited by hackers. They also say that by banning encryption, the U.S. would be following in the footsteps of authoritarian countries such as China, which blocked the encrypted messaging app Signal. It's important to understand that any kind of backdoor or front door access for the quote-unquote good guys can also be exploited by the bad guys, the Pro-Industry Information Technology and Innovation Report, or Innovation Foundation, stated in a July 2020 report. For example, key escrow systems which introduced new attack vectors that could allow attackers to gain access to encrypted information, such as by compromising the system that maintains copies of the keys. Whew. All right, yeah, that's the end of that one. That is a wild one. So it's nuts stuff. So yeah, we have to assume they already have that access. Yes, I am not a tech guy, so like that is kind of my assumption with all tech, that some fucking Fed nerd is looking at this shit somewhere or has the capability to look at it somewhere if they want to. So, but I mean, for those who are super concerned about, I basically don't do anything. I'll be honest. I do almost nothing to cover. I know there's probably nerds out there that are like, oh my God, you don't do really, I don't do basically anything. I think I have a VPN that I don't ever use. I don't fucking care. Like, I don't know. I'm not going to become nerdy enough to keep an eye on what I need to do to protect my nerd shit. And, I just kind of assume all these nerds have access to this nerd shit anyways. That's just kind of the way I look at the world. So, I don't know. Probably should. My wife said I should probably be a little bit more safe with my identity and stuff like that, but I don't care. I don't fucking care. Not stopping the business I work for management announced Friday. I'm bailing ship. I'm sorry that's happened to you, bud. Just need to make it legal now for them, probably so they can proceed with their agenda. Apple is so brave. Here's somnamblism schism saying taxes are donation. You should have. I've gone down the sovereign citizen route, if that's what you're going to, or the like. Oh, if you interpret this tax thing and that, and like, sure, okay, yeah. It gets if you get really, really caught up and you can go, oh, well, this is technically voluntary. You don't really. Come on, let's be real. At the end of the day, this is a coercive entity, and like most everyone just thinks. So I guess you could probably get caught up in the J games of the technicalities of this word and that word, and go, well, technically it's a donation, and like you don't really have like. I don't know. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not that. I do not trust the ideas of people that say, oh, you don't have to pay taxes enough to go. I'm just gonna stop paying taxes or whatever. But I do my best to minimize where I can, where it makes sense, for sure, because I definitely do not want to give these people money, but I also don't want to go to jail. And I know when you fight the government tends to win. So I don't know. It's kind of a balancing act, in my opinion. So here, all right. All right, guys. I guess I think we're about done here. Let me scroll through, make sure there's no super. Well, I guess with that, guys, I'm gonna remind you guys. Make sure to leave some Rumble rants if you want. If there's something you really want me to bring up to talk about, Rumble rants are the way to go. But I appreciate everyone who showed up today. We'll be back again tomorrow, same time, same place. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Keep in mind, on my Rumble, you can leave a Rumble rant, and then also on Austin's YouTube, you can do super chats if you'd like to do them there. We're streaming to pretty much everywhere now. Just so, I've told you guys this. We upgrade our StreamYard so we can go to like a bajillion places now. That's actually part of why you see some of the numbers look a little bit down. That's because now we're going everywhere, and so now they're kind of spread out more. But hey, this is the way to win out in the long run. But we're going everywhere, so now it's not so confusing whenever we stream with it. Whenever we stream with a morning dump or an already dead, basically going everywhere. The only exception is I don't put stuff. I don't have access to Austin's RSS feed or his Rumble, so that's it. So I can't do Rumble and I can't do RSS feed. And so, but if you guys are are following both our YouTubes, you're golden, and if you're following both our Rumbles as well, because it goes on in my Rumbles. And but either way, my point being is we're trying to make the plugging more less confusing for going forward. So yeah. But with that, guys, make sure you go down and hit the like button. If you're over here on YouTube or Rumble, hit that like button, helps out a lot. If you're listening to one of these audio podcatchers later, please go leave a 5-star review. It helps out a ton. But I do want to remind you guys, if you want to support what I'm doing over here, you can do that over at patreon.com/NoWayJose2020. The lowest level is $2. At that level, you get the early access to episodes, my weekly episodes I do. For example, I have Biggest Shitter coming back on tonight. We are going into the Vegas stuff. So if you're a patron, you will get that a week early. We're doing our second part. We're getting a little bit deeper into stuff. The first one was just kind of the basics. Now we're going deep. You also get to be a talking head on Already Dead. In the second half of the show, we do the call-in portion, and you can come on as a talking head and shoot the shit with me and Austin on that. If you are at the $2 level, and then also it has the ad-free RSS feed of that $2 level. Highest levels of my sponsors, I read them off every episode, and my co-host on Tower Gang at Tower Gang Toad. Also have at EbbergateDs at ZOVRACK at _Infinite Zeal. Also have Tim Tuttle at Jolly on Klebo. Then Will Bell's delicious blueberry rabbit eye wine. Then big fan of the show, Torn May, and then at INWARD Lover. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, comment, all the good stuff. Helps out a lot. Boost the stuff in the algos for us, please, please, please. We're trying to do big shit this year, me and Austin. Hell, we're even going back on Tinfoil Hat here in a couple weeks. We got big shit popping off. So help us along in this path. Follow me on Twitter at TowerGangJose. We also stream there if you prefer X. With that, hey, have a good one. Says Think, Change, Repeat. Happy Super Bowl Owl Sunday. Oh, I forgot today's Super Bowl. I don't even really give a shit about Super Bowl. So for those who enjoy that, have fun. I hope you enjoy it. I'm not going to be the salty sports ball guy. No, enjoy it. Have a good time. Have fun. Hang out with friends, family. Make the best of it. And then, if that's what you enjoy, and then that's the way to go. With that, we're out of here. Deuces, buddies. Bye-bye.